We've done our homework once again, and that means we are here to tell you the commander cards that are most worth buying for the month of November.
I'm Mia, and we want a big card for the set.
I'm BZ. We are both wearing the exact same clothes in the last episode. We're the Nitpicking Nerds, sponsored by Card Kingdom. Whether you change your clothes from episode to episode every month or not, Card Kingdom still has the best service, the best selection, and the best shipment of anyone else in the existence of the universe.
Card Kingdom, best place online to buy cards and sealed stuff and supplies. You should go there and use our link. Tell them we sent you. We'd really appreciate it. It would help support the show. We're also sponsored by Dragon Shield, best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
If you use the code
Nerds
at checkout, you could save 5% of your Roma tax dollars on your entire order, which includes awesome playmats that are shimmery and sparkly, and I love them.
And sleeves, but scale may vary on the sleeves you get. We are also sponsored by you, the lovely patrons at home. You make this possible. We appreciate you a lot. And guess what? You're going to hear from Moxfield later too. So we're back yet again. We have not gotten around to furnishing the studio, but I hope you like the random stuff that we can lay out, and Amber here for decoration as well. One thing we are noting for this series, which we always do every month, which is to tell you which cards are 100% worth their price to play in your commander decks. We're not speculating until later. That'll be fun at the end of the episode. But one thing we're doing for this episode that we also did last episode, and it seemed to work out pretty well, is we are taking advantage of Card Kingdom's different conditions. So for this, we're going to use the excellent condition, which is one step below near mint, just to give you the variety of different prices they offer.
I mean, it can't just be me where if something is sleeve playable and it looks really, really good, and if I can't see anything like on the surface unless I'm holding it straight to my face, I usually buy at those excellent prices. It's like EX, right? On
EX.
The site. Yeah, it doesn't always need to be near mint. Sometimes even go VG, very good. But we're using the excellent pricing right now because the cards are still in superb quality.
So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, the first one we're going to talk about today is Mind Break Trap. I am so surprised to see this at $6.39. This is down from its high. It was like, what, $70?
70 something like a year ago.
That was super crazy, but it's gotten a few reprints since then. 2 blue for an instant. If an opponent casts 3 or more spells this turn, you can pay 0 rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Exile any number of target spells. You're not going to see this much in brackets 1, 2, and 3, but once you start going to brackets 4 and 5 and there's free counter magic being slung around and people are having stack wars, this is a great spell to have in your arsenal.
And even if your higher bracket decks aren't breaking the bank, because you can have a strong combo deck that doesn't cost $3,000, when you start to get to that territory, the $6 card looks a lot more appealing. The only thing to note is it has to be a single opponent, and your spells can't contribute to that. So like one person has to cast 3 spells. So if they're going off, there's a counterspell war, this is going to be 0, which is insane card. Just note that, like, you know, someone's got to be kind of aggressively playing spells for you to get the value. And it's kind of embarrassing if you have to pay 4 for it, but at least you can cast it. There are worse rates to pay for free counterspells, which we'll actually get to in this video.
I think that even though we often talk about this in counterspell wars and that sort, because that's where I'm seeing it the most often by Amber, I think that it's really good because the lower bracket decks can sling spells pretty frequently. Maybe you are doing the Mishra's Baubles, Urza's Baubles type things. Maybe you're doing Cascade.
Yeah.
There are a lot of ways to be casting multiple spells without breaking the bank, without going for the $100 counter spells. If you are just casting a bunch of stuff and you're using your mana efficiently, or you are just getting cascade triggers and that sort of thing, you can use this card pretty efficiently.
I mean, one thing we talk about all the time is that Commander is the format of double spelling and using your mana very efficiently. If you're playing against us, you're going to see us double spelling like every single turn, if possible, wherever we can. You just need one more spell on top of that for Mind Break Trap to be triggered and turn on. Yeah. I don't think that's that crazy.
There's so many people that just love cantrips, even though we are not the cantrip people usually.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, I am not usually the cantrip person, but I know a lot of people do the Spellslinger decks and that sort of thing. This can work very well against those opponents.
I guess to clarify, we're pretty low on cantrips actually, but I do love Preordain. It has a special place in my heart. I don't play...
We're not playing Brainstorm that often.
Maybe you're just right, and I'm holding out for only Preordain.
You are, and that's
I love
okay.
So dearly.
I'm so okay with that. We don't usually play things like Opt or Brainstorm or Ponder usually, but if your opponents do, or if you have, you know, the Spellslingers where they're just like, okay, 1/1/0, you can just start exiling all these spells because they've cast so many. Take advantage of that.
Yeah, I like that. It does also kind of shut down Storm. If they got all those copies on the stack at the same time, you exile all of them at once. It's not just one. I'm always forgetting that with this card. It is any number of target spells, which is pretty sweet. Next, we're going to go to, this is a list full of surprises, but this is one of the most surprising to me. This is Sothera the Super Void, $3.19
Wait, what?
for Sothera from Edge of Eternities, which just happened, I feel like.
It did.
This was one of the cards we were most excited about. We were not 100% sure if it was the best card in the set. We had it at number 10. But this is 2 black for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, hello Amber, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Sothera, then put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. This does a little bit of a Grave Pact impression. And we settled on, this seems like it can be better than Grave Pact, but sometimes will be worse because, if somebody has no creatures, you can't just keep bullying them. This goes away. But the other side of that is you can get a huge 7-drop, 5-drop, whatever value out of this after you go Zack, my creatures wipe your board, where this looks like a board wipe plus, and it's just this ridiculous threat. When you have free sack outlets, you also don't have to sacrifice them on your turn. You wait until the end step. Sothera won't trigger, so maybe you can pull some shenanigans, get some extra value out of it. But what I wanted to mention was the alternatives, Grave Pact and Dictate of Erebos, are $25 each. So that's where we start looking at Sothera like, oh, I'll just play this instead and get 75% of the effect out of it.
I don't know. I would argue that I read it wrong the first time because it says at the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, you can have this Grave Pact like impression or Dictate impression. But if you can just profit even 1 creature off of that, you can stop it from triggering because it counts you too. It just says if a player, if you even have a token lying around or something, you don't have to sack it unless you want to. And then if you can keep those loops going where it's like, okay, if it dies, something will come back and you can make all these creatures and you can keep it going, then you can wait for the most opportune time to have it like sacrifice and get the best thing out of it. If your opponents are playing a lot fewer creatures than you, then you can just keep that chain rolling.
And similar to Dictate and Grave Pact, it doesn't require non-token creatures to be put into it to make them sacrifice. It's just if you sacrifice a 1/1 squirrel, they have to sacrifice or exile a creature they control, which is honestly better than making them sacrifice because now they can't access it again. And in fact, you are the one who will be accessing it if you get around to the point where your end step, somebody has no creatures. But I think at a certain point, I'm going to want to do that because if they just like go to their turn and blow it up, I don't get the creature back. I think if I play Sothera and I make everybody exile 4 creatures they control, and then someone has no creatures at the end step, I'm okay with taking the best one from that point. Like, how are you losing? That's like a 16 for 1. I'll be okay with that.
I feel good about that too, because even if they blow it up, it's not like their stuff is coming back. There's like a window where if they blow it up and you don't, you get nothing, but you're never playing this where you can actually just go, okay, here, pass, and you don't have
a free sack outlet.
Creatures to sack. You don't have a free sack outlet or some very cheap sack outlet or some engine where you get like a pitiless plunderer and you can like pay into an engine if you don't have those free sack engines. I think that Sothera is really solid for that, and $3.19 is way lower than where I thought than this would settle, because this is a mythic from a set that just came out. It's not like it's going to be seeing reprints anytime soon, so I thought that this would settle around like the $5 to $10 range. I feel like cards are not sitting at that like $20-$25 range yet unless they're like making gigantic waves, but $3.19 is way lower than I thought it would be.
This is a great deal considering the alternatives. This is fantastic, and this is everybody's opportunity to pick one up, buy 2, try it out in all your black sack decks, and it'll probably be amazing. Next up, we have Academy Manufactor at $5.59. This is a 3-mana artifact. It's a 1/3 assembly worker, I think, and if you would create a clue, food, or treasure, instead, you create one of each. It's not really rocket science for us to tell you which decks this is good in. Decks where you make a bunch of food, clues, and or treasures, but it is worth noting this has been reprinted a couple times. It's down. This thing has seen a price ceiling of somewhere around 10 to 12, and I fully expect it to go up at any point if this isn't reprinted for like 6 months. It just kind of goes up because there's always something. Avatar's got a bunch of clues in it. So like even that, maybe there's a commander that just makes Academy Manufactor go up again. It's a sound investment, and when you need it, pretty easily.
Academy Manufacturer just makes a bunch of stuff. We love making stuff in Commander, and this just floods the board on your side with a bunch of very awesome artifact tokens. This is good, especially with Avatar coming out, because waterbending counts for creatures or artifacts. If you're making triple the amount of artifacts, you will be able to pay those waterbending costs a lot easier. Or if you just like stuff, if you want to animate all of your artifacts, perhaps. Maybe you just want the mana and card advantage or life advantage. I know Hobbit's coming out later later this year. So we might see more food synergies, or maybe it's next year, whatever. Time is irrelevant. You'll see more food synergies in that probably. And then with clues in Avatar, with artifact tokens in general always being relevant, Academy Manufactor will get reprinted maybe once a year, maybe once every other year. And it will still rise to the price where we are saying, wow, we should have picked it up when it was $1, $2, $5 at this point, because I've seen it at 10, 12, even 15 at its highest. And I think that this is a great card.
It is $5 good, as we like to say. Oh, by the way, Hobbit actually comes out tomorrow.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
actually, it came out yesterday.
It's already fully spoiled. We have Commandeer up next, and I'm going to let you read that one.
Commandeer is 5 blue for an instant, but you can exile 2 blue cards from your hand rather than pay its mana cost. You gain control of target non-creature spell, and you can choose new targets for it. This is $1.43. This was reprinted a while ago back in Commander Masters, and I feel like that because it used to be like $20-ish, a lot of people were hesitant on playing about this. But because there's so many good reprints back in Commander Masters, and because that set was so expensive and people weren't necessarily like very hyped about that price point, I feel like this is one of the ones that kind of flew like under the radar as to where the price settled. $1.43 is awesome because you are never going to be paying that 7 mana cost for it. And there are just so many things that care about like casting spells with giant amounts of mana, but you're not actually paying for it. Beanstalk, for instance.
Yeah, Beanstalk, if you cast this for free, you'll draw from up the Beanstalk. Commandeer at $1.43, this was also reprinted in Thunder Junction, that bonus sheet. When that bonus sheet really
that makes sense.
Took some prices down, and Commander Masters too, even though that wasn't opened as much, but trust me, I opened a lot of Commandeers in that set. This card has this potential for just unreasonable blowouts. Spells that you are super keen on countering anyway, like Rise of the Dark Realms and like a big old overwhelming Stampede or whatever. You get to steal them instead. And that definitely changes a lot of the math. It's like, oh, you were going to attack everyone for lethal, but now you can't attack me because my creatures are as big as your creatures should have been. Or, oh, that's a really good spell. I'll just take it and win instead. There's a lot of potential with this. And I think you have to be heavy blue. I don't think you should play this in 3-color decks or more. I think you want to be 2-color with a focus on blue or just mono blue. If you're mono blue, this is kind of a free roll. You can play this and you're going to be pretty happy with it.
This card is awesome. I love playing these big splashy spells, and they're just very fun overall. As you mentioned, Rise of the Dark Realms. I love Breach the Multiverse. There's things like, even though it's not as efficient, Fevered Suspicion and that sort of thing. I like these spells a lot, but being able to steal that from someone else where they paid the mana and you just exiled 2 blue cards from your hand feels so much better.
I mean, what a blowout. If I yoinked Breach the Multiverse, I think I would just pass out. You'd have to take me out of the game because I would just pass out from sheer joy. The other thing, too, that makes Commandeer not so hard, it's painful to exile 2 blue cards from your hand. Those are spells. Unless we got MDFCs laying around. MDFCs in your 2-color decks will make this easier to free cast because you got like Waterlogged Teachings or Suppression Rays or whatever. And then there's a million blue ones. Most of them are good. Honestly, the worst one from like MH3 is Hydroelectric Specimen, but you can still play that no problem. I think there's a lot of blue MDFCs between Lorien Revealed, all this random stuff that's like basically a land, but really it's a blue spell. That all does contribute to making Commandeer much more castable, much less painful, and much more value sauce.
We're also saying this not even like blue isn't the big card draw color.
Yeah.
In blue, you're often going to have more cards in your hand than any other color, like mono color. So with that, I think that it's a little less painful to be exiling 2 blue cards from your hand rather than, say, 2 red cards or something like that.
Yeah, you can have Rhystic Study and Mystic Remora triggering the whole game. Ghostly Pilferer, even the budget version. This thing just does so much work. It can steal like extra turn spells. So we talked about the ceiling. Use your imagination. It's anything you could possibly imagine, and this card is busted. But the floor, it's pretty low. This is borderline uncastable. You can hold up and use like all of your mana, and it'll still be a pretty good play. But what I mean is, this is not going to do any favors turns 1 through 5. It's completely dead in your opener if for some reason you can't exile the spells or it's not feasible. So you got to get your card draw online first, but in the mid to late game, this is pretty great.
I think it's versatile too because you're able to cast it for free. If you're behind, I've seen it being used on Escape to the Wilds and that sort. I've seen it being used for big spells, stealing counter spells, all of that shenanigan type stuff. And I think that it's just not like a free roll if it is in blue or mono blue. And if you're going into 2 colors, it gets a little dicier. But if you're heavy blue or you can consistently get those blue cards, I think it's a slam dunk. You should put it in your deck.
Yeah, and the only other final note I have is like commanders that can rummage or discard easily. I'm more likely to play this. It's not like the fact that you can loot every so often makes up for, playing a bunch of unplayable cards, but I think this is one of the ones. And especially if you've got other free counter magic where you can pitch this to those if you don't like it. This is apparently the free counter magic episode, by the way. Next up, we have Sarkhan's Unsealing, a card I love.
You play this a lot.
All the time in my budget decks. And quite frequently, it takes over games. It is only $1.19 thanks to the excellent condition on Card Kingdom. It is 3 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever you cast a creature spell with power 4, 5, or 6, this enchantment deals 4 damage to any target. And whenever you cast a creature spell with power 7 or greater, this enchantment deals 4 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. This feels like the red-green stompy version of Grave Pact. You can't keep anything in the play, and you can't block my giant monsters that I'm throwing out as long as this stays out. You have to answer it.
It's real. It's really good, and I kind of want to put this in Roxanne now. If you're just making enough mana, or if you can cascade enough to get power 7 or greater, and you can get 2 of those in a single turn, that is just a one-sided board wipe. Even if they're just playing tokens, getting 1 7 power or greater creature out will just wipe away that so quickly. 4 mana is not a bad investment to be putting in this, because you're going to be putting this into decks that can feasibly make way more mana than that to begin with.
There are also a lot of Magic cards that say that they cost 12, but they don't actually cost 12. Galta, Primeval Protector, Largo, all of these things cost like 1 to 3 mana and then trigger Sarkhan's Unsealing. So frequently what I'll do is save it until I have 7 mana and go boop, 7, and then boom, 7 power creature right away. You get the Mizium Mortars effect. They also take 4 to the face. And the other thing I've noticed when playing this, it's great if you can trigger it multiple times. I'll do it if I can. But even when I'm only triggering this once a turn, which is what I'm expecting, which is what makes it so great, even when I only do that, the creatures that are left in play, I have a 7 power creature. So I can block that. I'm not necessarily worried about, something survived my weird pseudo board wipe. Nope, I'm probably okay. I have Galta back as a 12/12 or something.
Yeah, and if you can get these reductions on your creatures and you get power 7 or greater, that's good. You do it for cheaper like Largo. But if you can just get out another 4 power creature, you can just finish off the ones that you want to, because it's just any target at that point.
Yeah, with 4s, it's like if your commander, like you said, Roxanne.
Yeah.
Sorry, Shadow. If your commander is a 4 power, you're going to be casting that repeatedly, and that's just sniping things.
Yeah, I think that 4 is just such a chunky amount of damage to be throwing around. One instance of it will usually kill a bunch, which will be kind of like the sweep that your opponents will have on the board. 2 will almost always kill the creature, no matter how much mana they spent on it.
And the best part about this is this card does not have to stick around the whole game and win you the whole game by itself. What it's going to do is deal 4 to their stuff, and for their face, you're going to feel amazing because you only paid 4 mana for that, and it'll stick around and require an answer as you just continue playing Magic with your big beefy boys, which I think that's a great combination of mana and effect for $1 for Gruul Stompy.
It's also just a great mid-game effect. If it survives, you're very happy into the late game, and if it dies, you probably have bigger threats to deploy later anyways.
That's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, people will not usually kill it, and that will be their downfall.
It really will.
Up next is a card from Spider-Man. It's Agent Venom at 39 cents. 2 and a black for a 2/3 with Flash and Menace. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. We've seen cards like this before: Grim Horospex, Murderous Rider, etc. But 39 cents is a great price point for that, considering Grim Horospex is a $2.50 and Murderous Rider is a 79 cents, which is double that price.
And this card is basically better than both of those. I would say it's strictly better for all intents and purposes than Grim Horospex, because Grim Horospex wants you to morph it. No one ever morphs it. This is just the same exact effect, but it has Flash, which is the kind of the surprise factor they were looking for when you morph. So anyway, Flash, great, upgrade. I don't care if I lose a life. And then Murderous Rider, the only downside is that Agent Venom dying doesn't draw you a card, but the Flash just is such a huge upgrade. I think this is just better than both of those cards. This is one of the cheapest possible prices a Magic card could be. 40 cents for a really strong rare. Either slot it in alongside those, or just cut one of them to upgrade this, or don't spend $250 if you were going to on Grim Horospex and just feel great about yourself.
Yeah, I think that I'm way willing to trade Morph. Of course I am. No one's morphing Grim Horospex. And I'm willing to trade the 1 card and 1 life loss from Murderous Rider to give it Flash. We've been playing it in draft because we've done a few drafts with Spider-Man and stuff, and it's been very solid even in that. So imagining it on such a large scale with Commander, with so many more creatures dying and so much more life to play along with, I think that you will be getting that much more value. And 39 cents, that is just the perfect price point to just try it out, see if you like it.
It's not even a question. This card will perform at that level, guaranteed. If you were waiting or you forgot about Spider-Man, just buy this card. There's literally no reason not to if you're playing the other two cards. Next is a cycle of lands that have just gone way down, except for one for some reason. It's the filter lands. They range from 39 cents to $1 for 7 of them. If you want the blue-white or blue-black lands, those are $3.59. And if you want the green-white one, it's $12. Don't do
Weird.
that. I would actively never recommend anyone spend $12 on the green-white one. The other two, maybe. But for sure, the other 7 at $1 or less, they are lands. I'll use Cascade Bluffs as the blue-red one as an example. It taps for a colorless, or you could pay a blue or a red, so 1 mana of either color, and tap it to add blue-blue, blue-red, or red-red. It like filters 1 and itself into 2. It doesn't ramp you. It just filters and fixes the mana for you. These are solid lands. I love that they enter untapped. I love that they make colorless. That's great for certain decks. Solid little cycle of lands that we really haven't talked about much.
Super surprised to see that the green-white one is so high, but these usually sneak into a precon every once in a while. They're not reprinted all too often, and seeing them at the $1 or less for most of them price point is really awesome. I just want to warn you, though, if you're playing this in 3, 4, and 5 colors, make sure you don't keep a hand of all of these because they just won't make any mana if you don't have any colored mana to pay into them. I've seen someone do that once.
My rule of thumb is never play 2 or never play more than 2 of these. I think at that point you're just asking for like weird stuff to happen. They also only filter with colored mana.
Yes.
So if you have a weird opening hand of like an ancient tomb in this doesn't make colored mana. It still makes colorless, so you can still do stuff, but just keep that in mind. These are perfect lands to play 1 or 2 of, especially for 2 color decks. They're a slam dunk. They're a great way to upgrade your mana base for just a little bit of money for a nice bit of efficiency.
The next card is one of my favorites, and it's $1.59. It's Aftermath Analyst. When in green for a 1/3, when it enters, you mill 3 cards. If you pay 3 green and sack it, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. I love this card.
It's insane.
This card is always so good. Getting the mill 3 is a good chunk of your deck for 2 mana. That's usually the going rate, usually 3 to 4 cards on a body. And then you are able to sack it itself. If you want death triggers, 4 mana will get all of your stuff back, which is the going rate for returning all lands to the battlefield tap. That is the Splendid Reclamation rate. That is the what's the other one?
Better than like Will of the Sultai, that sort of.
But this is so good, and if you can blink it or something, or if it gets O-ringed and back, you'll still get that mill 3 trigger again, and then you can get even more value. I play this in Uro, and it is one of the secretly scariest cards in that entire deck.
It's like the power crept version of Splendid Reclamation, where it does something when it enters, it fuels itself. That last ability is instant speed. Most of the time you just hold it up, and then the potential for an Amulet of Vigor or Spelunking or Horizon Explorer or Tiller Engine. I'm pulling these cards out of my butt. But like with those where they say lands enter untapped, now this is a weird combo card which says pay 4, add 10 mana to your mana pool. Also you have 10 lands now. Like this card, I don't find myself beating it very often, so it's a little frustrating because it's just so good. Once it hits, you can't do anything. You need to find some kind of preemptive graveyard hate in order to stop the Aftermath Analyst. It is a very strong card, one of the best landfall cards to come out in the last 10 years.
It's good early game whether you need that mill engine up. It's good late game if you have a bunch of lands already in there. And it's good to hold up too, because it's like you can have it as a blocker. As BZ mentioned, it's instant speed. So then you can, go block, and then I'll sack it in response and get all my stuff back. It is so scary. You do that before you untap, and then you have like 10 extra lands depending on how well you've been milling and all of that. Aftermath Analyst is so solid.
I'm very confident that if you have a green landfall or graveyard deck, either one, this goes in multiple different archetypes, you just need to pick this card up, which is great because it peaked at like $4.50 or $5, and now it's $1.50 because of the World Shaper Precon reprint. Just scoop it. This is a card that I really should have 5 copies of on hand.
I mean, we play it all the time.
We both play this.
I think we do have 5 copies. It's just split between us in decks.
I think we've played at least 5 or 6 of these between us. It's very strong, very hard to beat, tough to interact with. Get your graveyard hate. This is why we say people don't play enough cards like this. Annoying Aftermath Analysts. Next up, we have Basilisk Collar, $3.99. This one is like kind of stood the test of time. It was there in 2010, and now it's here in 2025. It is a 1-mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has Death Touch and Lifelink, and it equips for 2. If you find yourself with gigantic, stupid monsters, if you find yourself with pingers, cards that say deal damage to each opponent, deal damage to other creatures especially is amazing, this is going to win the game.
Yes, this is so good with the things like Gutter Snipe. I've seen it on that. That's so annoying. But even just things like Death Touch, where people are just not willing to trade your little dinky creature that has Death Touch and Lifelink for their bigger things, and they'll let you just hit in left and right. That Lifelink will just accumulate over the game, and a little bit of life here and there will make it so your opponents go, how are you still at 40? It's turn 10.
Yeah, where I find this most playable, and probably where I'm recommending it officially, is like Voltron. When you're going to make a creature 10/10 bigger and you're going to try to give it trample anyway, Death Touch is a wombo combo with trample and or first strike. That's amazing. Lifelink helps you not get cracked back for lethal, as you can spend more resources to take out one player, knowing that you're now at 50 and you're not going to get hit for 50 from the other two players that are left. Like we talk about, this card is awkward, and I think this card's a little overplayed because you see it with like, oh, it's so good with Gutter Snipe, but it's like, but should you be playing it in a Gutter Snipe deck? Probably not.
It depends.
But yeah, it's like I see that all the time in different things, and sometimes it feels out of place, but I think where it does shine, it is worth $4, and you should probably play it. And there are some Spellslinger decks that focus on the Gutter Snipe thing, but I've seen a handful, a couple. You know, we play a lot of Commander. Someone's got the collar, and you're just like, what are you supposed to be equipping that to?
I think that you should focus on what your deck wants, obviously. That seems like a no-brainer. But if you're focusing more on the non-creature spells and you have a smorgasbord of all of them, Basilisk Collar and Gutter Snipe might be in the same one.
They could be.
But if you're focusing on instant sorceries only, then maybe it's not the best. But if you want to check out decks online, you should go to moxfield.com, the best place online to be building, checking out, and following us.
I hear Moxfield has the most seamless transitions on the internet as well. If you're looking to go
Only
from
us.
watching a video of the Nitpicking Nerds to listening about how great Moxfield is, that's the best website for it.
Moxfield is the best. You can see all of our decks on moxfield.com, all of the gameplay decks that we have had on our show, except Crims. You can find it on moxfield.com. Go, follow us, use our link, tell them we sent you.
Tell them we sent you. We're going to go to another really annoying card. It is Opposition Agent. It is 21-24 for the excellent printing. 2 to black for a 3/2 flash. You control opponents while they're searching their libraries. While an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you can spend mana as though it were a rainbow color to cast those. This is another card that gets better the higher brackets you go. You can still play it in your lower brackets, but you're going to be hitting like Terramorphic Expanse and Cultivate, which doesn't feel as cash money, like you're getting away with something, as when you snipe a Vampiric Tutor and you take their best card or their win con or something. So just know that your mileage may vary in brackets 1, 2, but 3 and 4, you're probably good to go. Shutting off fetch lands is a real thing. That's like, they can't crack it yet or they're going to get wastelanded, which is sweet. The one thing to note that is not on the card anywhere, it is not obvious at all unless you just happen to randomly know this ruling. You get to look at their hand when you're searching their library. You get to see like outside zone. So if they had a sideboard, which they don't, you could look at that. But you get to look at their hand. So don't ever forget that is a secret mode of Opposition Agent.
Opposition Agent is such a powerful card in the decks that have a lot of tutors or even fetches that I feel like before the Game Changers list was up and running, that would be one of the cards that I would warn people about. Where like, oh, this deck has Oppo in it. Maybe that's not the power level you want to be playing. Being afraid of cracking your fetch land in the higher power is so real. Even if they have the crack into Dark Writ into Oppo.
You never know.
I've been hurt by that at least a few times. Opposition Agent, super scary, though I've also seen it on Terramorphic Expanse, a lot less scary.
I mean, it's still backbreaking for the person who went to fetch on turn 3. Like, they're going to lose the game now.
That just hurts.
They're just going to lose the game. I mean, it still has high efficiency, but $21 I think is a fair price for this game changer level high power card. If you were thinking about picking one up, the Spider-Man reprint definitely took this down a little bit, so that's why we're talking about it. It's a nice little reminder that this card is kind of affordable for how good it is. There's no other card that really does this.
Yeah, this is just a really spicy one, and I think that because of the spirit of Commander, they might be more hesitant to print something like this in the future. So if you're looking for this type of effect, and you're looking, you like the I like to control my opponents, the worst fear is the Oppo Agent type of things, or if you just want to play at that higher bracket level where people are tutoring a lot, this is a great card to Windmill Slam into your deck.
And don't forget, you look at their hand. You get to look at their hand while they're searching their library. The next one I wanted to save for you.
Yes.
Because if you thought Sothera was a sweet deal, get ready.
Riptide Gearhulk is $3.59 right now. It's 1 white, blue for a 2/5 with double strike and prowess. When it enters, for each opponent, put up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls into its owner's library, 3rd from the top. I played this in Mendicant Core. Copying this feels like a dream come true. It's so good. It's a big old body, and I know this is kind of crazy, but the prowess does come up now and again because of that double strike. If you can just cast 1 or 2 little baubles or just artifact spells that are non-creature, you can hit in for a ton of damage.
I mean, you play a Signet, this thing hits for 6.
Yeah.
That's real. On top of this 5 mana, 3-for-1, that just, it's so aggravating. It's not like it bounces to their hand. It's not like, it's exiled and they're plotted and they cast it for free like some other things. It's just so far out of reach. And if they have to shuffle before then, it's just gone and they can't not, fetch or search the library for something else at that point. It is very frustrating how out of reach third from the top is. It's like, I'd rather you just exile it in some cases or just kill it.
Yeah.
Just kill my stupid creature. I'll get it back that way. This thing, when you flicker it, it just dominates the game. It also has the ability to sort of tuck things deeper if you keep triggering it. It's like, oh, okay, you're I don't know, pick a creature, name a creature.
Deathrite Shaman.
Your Deathrite Shaman is now the 3rd card in your library. But then if I put something else, then your Deathrite Shaman goes to the 4th card, because that card is now the 3rd, and it just gets tucked further and further. And you can even imagine good cards getting tucked instead of Deathrite Shaman.
I think there are so many of the Gear Hulks that were not that good. Oil Deep or Pyrewood.
Not for Commander.
But with Riptide, that was one of the only ones I was excited about. Azorius is the blink color, so it is very real to be able to blink this a few times and then or copy it if you're playing Mendicant Core like me, and then just get all of your opponent's stuff and then just put it 3rd, 4th, 5th from the top if you can get a couple extra triggers off of this.
Boys and girls, it is time to rejoice and get all of the Riptide Gear Hulks you could ever imagine. This is $13 good.
Yes.
Which is why I'm so excited that it is a 1/3 of that price. I'm going to go by 3 because I know that I'm going to play this in a bunch of different things. You don't even have to blink. You just play it. You can literally just play this, and it's a 3-for-1. This is the type of removal that we love. If, back when we made our 3-for-1 video, when I was talking about Shadowgrange Archfiend and Soul Shatter, this is right up there with the best of them. It's so good.
But the beats and the blocking are just also real with this.
Gravy.
I think it's all just a great package, and that is the type of creature that I am willing to spend 5 mana on. The next card that we're going to talk about is a Game Ender. This one is spicy, and it's a Chroma's Will at $10.39. 3 and white for an instant, choose one, but if you control your commander, you choose both if you want. You can either, creatures you control get flying, vigilance, and double strike until end of turn, or they get lifelink, indestructible, and protection from each color until end of turn. If you have a big old board, you can give everything double strike and just protection from everything. You gain a bunch of life, all their blocks are not relevant, and you can just deal a ton of damage directly to your opponents.
Yeah, this is one of the cards that is the biggest groan test. Even if you're perfectly bracketed, matched up, when they fire off a Chroma's Will, you're like, oh, we're just all dead. And even if we're not all dead, the player who has to deal with this crap after the dust settles is looking at a board that is entirely untapped, and the controller is going to be at like 80 life. And it's very hard to come back from a Chroma's Will that is not interacted with in any way. The only possible way you could block some of the stuff is if you have like a Thopter token, because it has to have flying and be colorless, because they have flying and protection from all colors. So most everything is unblockable. Just don't forget about it if you have Thopters. Don't just scoop to this card.
A Chroma's Will is spicy because not only are you usually taking out at least 1 to 2 players, depending on how big your board is or how wide you're going, etc., but you are also going to be putting yourself in a prime position because not only with the creatures untapped and all of that, you are going to be sitting with a ton of life. I don't think I've ever gained less than 30 life from this card, so long as the creatures have hit and this has resolved.
I'm not kidding when I say that this card plays like a $30 card.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a $30 card
that's
for a
what I'm
while.
saying. Like, this is a $10 version of this is insane. Playing like a $30 card where you go, hey, is there a board stall? That's like 80% true in Commander always. Well, I win because I drew this card and I have my Commander, which is the easiest 1-2 combination ever. And that happens so often. You just get so many free wins. I wish with this card, because I track my win rate, I wish I tracked how many times a Chroma's Will ended the game. It's got to be top 10 game enders for me and us as a whole. It's just so easy.
I definitely think so. I play an Edgar, and you go wide. Every vampire has a little bit of a buff, and then you're swinging for all these lifelink, vigilant, protection from colors. Someone's always dead after this, and I like that they're reprinting these into precons. There were 5 wills, but the only relevant ones are Jessica's and Akroma's. The other ones, Sats, Sakashimas and Kamals. There we go.
Yeah.
All those, and I'm happy to see those not in precons because I feel like
they're niche.
They are niche, and they like, even though I play Kamals Will, they are sometimes these niche filler cards are tucked into precons, but Chroma's Will getting real reprints to see it down to $10, and Jessica's Will also getting a few reprints here and there makes this so much more accessible, and I love that.
It's a great pickup. Friendly reminder, go get a Chroma's Will if you've been holding off. Now is the time. And I mentioned this is the free Counterspell episode. Love throwing a spicy one on here. And I think Force of Negation at $55.24 is a pretty penny, but this is a pretty good card. 1 blue for an instant. If it's not your turn, you can exile a blue card from your hand, like that Commandeer that you're having trouble casting, rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. If it's countered this way, you exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. Now, this was on my mind because of how many times recently I've played against your Galadriel, Bant Galadriel, high power. It's like a bracket 4 deck.
Yeah, it's a bracket 4.
I just get completely destroyed by a random Force of Negation. And when we look at free counter spells that are, pitch a blue card, cast this is like the cheapest. It's Force of Will and Fierce are a little bit more pricey. This is a similar feeling card for a little bit less.
Yes, I think Force of Negation is a complete blowout. There are a few spells, like there's Nexus of Fate, where people just think they're in the clear, they're scot-free, they're gonna go, okay, well, even if this gets countered, I'll still get value off of this, and Force of Negation wipes that smirk off of their faces.
No flashback, no shuffling in for Nexus of Fate, it's just gone.
I have exiled your Nexus of Fate as of twice with this card.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating. I've lost to Force of Negation quite often, where I just wish it was I would rather you play Force of Will.
Oh, yeah.
Half the time, because at least it goes to the graveyard where I can use it. But the exile is real, and the cheapness of this compared to the others, which are like, pushing 60 or 70, is definitely noticeable. And I think this is a fair price to pick it up. If you got some extra cash on hand, hey, maybe it's time to dip into that like really high power spell library.
The next one is an enchantment and a creature, and it's something that you've been playing and liking a lot. It's Enduring Vitality at $5.59. It is 1 green for a 3/3 enchantment creature with vigilance, and creatures can tap to add 1 mana of any color, but when it dies, if it was a creature, it becomes an enchantment. It comes back as enchantment that is not a creature, and I think that gives it just a lot of that, like, what's it called?
Staying power?
Yeah, it just has a lot of that staying power that usually when you are playing all these creatures, it's like, oh no, it wiped, that sucks, your supportive parents and that like where you get all this value, that's great, but they're just as susceptible as a creature. This goes, okay, whatever, as long as you're not swordsing it, it'll come back.
Bad. Yeah, it doesn't feel as bad. It's like, well, at least you got my Enduring Vitality. Very real that it comes back. I have been loving the trifecta of Protective Parents, Enduring Vitality, and Elven Chorus, to have my creatures make mana, and if I'm not going to turn them sideways, and I just want to generate, and eventually play some big spell to blow everybody up, this is one of the cards that I go to a lot. I love that it comes back. Sometimes you care about the fact that it's enchantment. I have it in a deck that's like, oh, I want Delirium. Cool, this is an enchantment randomly. That's great, it has extra synergy. But making your creatures, A, mana fix, and B, tap for a mana, just kind of like, it adds to the snowballiness that you're looking for in Commander games, where it's like, all right, when I go from turns 4 to 7, I don't want to have 2 more creatures in play. I want to be so close to winning the game that my opponents have to do something about it. And this is one of those cards you play on turn 3, and it just escalates very quickly into how many game actions you can take, which often correlates to how much you're going to win the game.
I think that this card is just really well made with the vigilance, so you can punch in a little bit if it's early. And when it dies, it comes back, so you can proactively wipe the board on your side too, because you have the security that it will come back so long as you're not doing like a farewell.
Yes, and we mentioned at the end of the episode some speculation. This is non-hostile speculating. We're buying 5 of these copies just to compete with each other because we love competing for no reason.
Yes.
We're not trying to move the market or anything. We think these cards are going to go up, so this is what we're going to go on. Last month, you lost 20 cents on your spec. What do you got this month?
This month I have Restless Prairie. It is a manland that when you attack with it, creatures will get a buff. All of the creatures that you're attacking with will get that buff. I am specking on the foil borderless excellent version and is 63 cents. I'm specking on this because of Earthbending. Earthbending will turn stuff into creatures, and all Earthbending, or most Earthbending at least, is green plus. And there's some cool commanders in there. I think that's my favorite mechanic of the set.
Especially Toph.
Yeah, so even if you are making this into a creature with Earthbending, when it attacks, it doesn't say you have to pay into the cost. So when you make it a creature for free and you attack, all of your creatures will get buffed. And I think that is a very cool synergy that maybe people aren't looking at the moment.
That's super sick. I think that's some sick tech. And the fact that you're getting a foil borderless, you're getting 5 copies foil borderless for 63 cents each, I feel like at the end of the year, this one's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
This one's gonna hurt. I'm gonna get rocked by how much this goes up, maybe.
Yeah, this Manland was only printed in LCI, so I am having a little bit of higher hopes because there are the Restless Lands and then there were the other Manlands, and I'm shying away from those because those had more printings.
I mean, like Stirring Wildwood just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's the old guard. It's not power crap. It doesn't never attack trigger. This card sucks. My previous spec actually went up 50 cents from last month, so loving it. And this month I've got Thieving Varmint, the borderless excellent printing at $1.43. I noticed this card is already going up, so I'm trying to get in before it's peaked. Hopefully it's still on the rise, but that's because of Nathan Drake. Cares about casting other opponents' spells. Well, there's a lot of hype. You know, I do the finance shorts. A lot of hype from all of the Sony Secret Lair things. The Last of Us, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, that guy too. And then Uncharted. All that stuff is like moving prices. People are building decks like crazy. Hopefully the environment is one of them.
I mean, people love playing other people's spells. You know, I feel like once a year there's a cool commander like Gonti or whatever, where you're just like, yeah, I would love to cast other people's spells. This is this year's. And I feel like Thieving Varmint, I feel like that's not going to get reprinted very quickly or often. And it seems like a solid spec for when the next Steely commander comes out too.
You know what? That's kind of great for me because last month I spec'd on Black Cat.
Yeah.
Who takes 2 cards from them, and then I think you did.
You're going all in on this strategy.
You did Shadow of the Goblin. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just thinking of Gonti and how Black Cat is close to that, and people love Gonti. That was my strategy. So hopefully that pays off. If you want to see more, go to the last month video, which is right here, somewhere over the Dragon Shield box, because there's still relevant prices today.